My father had this adventure thing in him. Completely different to what I do though. Okay, come here, Rose. Rose. Come here. Because my father decided that he was going to go and join the paratroopers in the Israeli army. So when my mum said to me, "Where do you get this from?" I said, "The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, Mum." When I separated, I weighed 103 kilos. I smoked. I realized how unfit I was. I went, my God, I need to get healthy. And I did. I dropped 10 kilos. I stopped smoking. I then thought, I want to do something for myself. The kids are growing up. At that stage, only Gabriella was still at school. When we go up, did you hear the noise in the kitchen just before we left? Yeah, it's Rose jumping up onto the counter, going for the tin. Yeah, she knocked the lid off the tin of the biscuits, per usual. I also decided that I'm going to start doing some adventure. I wanted to go to Antarctica.
Fill me out with your smile. Now the sunshine brings the light. Fill me out with a flame. I will let you in this game. Take me out when I'm down. 'Cause with you I'm safe and sound.
I came to Australia 32 years ago. I grew up in South Africa, in Cape Town. I love being on the water, so I started sailing. I went from sailing to windsurfing to racing Hobie Cats, to racing with my best buddy, a 36-footer, to playing with kites on the land and buggies on the land, and then playing with land sailors. And I went, no one's ever sailed to the South Pole. Do you remember when I said to you that I want to do something different? And I want to go somewhere different.
You had the dream and you had the little drawing.
Ah, you remember the drawing?
I do remember the drawing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And so I came up with this drawing. It's well over-engineered for what I wanted to do, but man, it looked sexy and it was like something out of a James Bond movie. So I went, oh, dang, we'll just build this. I took my drawing and I went and saw Daniel at All Metal Fabrications, and over 8 weeks of working together, they built exactly what I wanted. So over-engineered, way too heavy, didn't think it would work, but you know what? It was cool.
Yeah.
And that's where I think...
Adrian.
Yeah, well, I was trying to think this morning how I first heard about it, and
You sent me an email and said, and the email was...
I think I just said, "Hi Charles, my name is blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I hear you're doing this cool thing. Any chance of being involved?" Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah?
it's exactly what it was.
And I can't remember when it was, whether it was the second half of 2015.
It was
Somewhere there.
towards the second half of 2015.
Yeah.
So we took it to Falls Creek and we went to trial it at Falls Creek. I wasn't sure if it would even stand up to it. So the first trial that we did was we rigged the whole thing, and I got inside, strapped myself in, and went down one of the ski runs to see how fast we could go, and also hopefully nothing fell apart.
I do now believe that we can certainly go up with our sail size. There's absolutely no question with that. Another 2-3 square meters on each one will be really good.
I realized we were in trouble at Falls Creek. I put a harness on
To drag it.
to drag it. And I was dragging it on a decline and I still couldn't move it. I brought it back and I reworked it by removing the cockpit and just using the shell and making it lower to the ground. That unit was actually the unit that accompanied me to Antarctica. It was going to be an attempt to snow sail from the plateau to the South Pole. I gave myself a window of opportunity which was doomed to fail. That was tough. That was hard, eh? When we got there, believe it or not, the world's windiest place had no wind for 4 days. Then we had too much wind. They wouldn't let me up onto the plateau. So all I managed to do was be the first person to ever snow sail in Antarctica. Okay, what we need to do, I need to loosen here first. I approached Mountain Designs and Mountain Design signed up to be a naming rights sponsor. I wanted to set a world record for the fastest person ever to snow sail. When I knew that what we had wasn't going to work, I did that second rendering.
That's what I admire about you. You have the tenacity to continue with it, but you're not closed to ideas.
Yeah.
You knew that it had to evolve, and you enabled it.
And that's where this final swoosh snow sailor design has come to. Part of that sponsorship was to build the snow sailors, which you can see we've done, and to test them in Europe. But at the same time, I was testing all of their gear in Europe and some other sponsors' gear. And we went off to Europe to do this, and I got back from Europe, and unfortunately Mountain Designs had shut down their whole business. Remember, I went to Europe to go and test. And when I got back, 3 days later, I sent you an email saying we're in trouble again.
Yeah. And I thought, what's going on now?
Demise of Mountain Designs.
Yeah. And that's how it is. I mean, the whole journey wouldn't have occurred without the support of many sponsors. And I know, we're very thankful for the work they've done. And it's just how it is.
I no longer had a sponsor. So I'd put out all this work and I wasn't going to get paid for it.
I think it was Clint Eastwood who said, as long as you take your work seriously, but don't take yourself seriously, then it's a recipe for not just success, but like happiness.
Yeah, you know me, I tend to laugh in the face of adversity at times.
Yeah.
So I needed to go and find some other sponsors to fill the Mountain Designs hole. And the most amazing thing, community is unbelievable. People who you work with, when they understand your story, they jump on board. And I was able to do that.
Rewind back in time, you can find Huggers right, ripping microphones in the parks late at night, battling the latest MC who thought his block was the baddest. Couldn't rip the mic apparatus. Now there goes the status and his crew too. Mike League, summer session at your barbecue with the 1-2. I slay dudes with rhymes about peace, love, and happiness. Wonder when they can capture this with the photo.
I went to Iceland, ridiculous amount. I think I had about 18, 19, maybe even 20 sponsors, but we got it done. We went to the Langjökull Glacier. There was myself, there was Adrian Manikis and John Ball. We went chasing the speed record and the distance record in Iceland. We made it. Unfortunately, the snow sailor didn't. And there were freight issues in Germany, and I was delayed getting the snow sailor. And this was almost like deja vu. When the freight was originally booked last week, we were guaranteed that we would have our freight here on the 25th. Oh my God. Whenever I go away to do something, shit just happens, man. Totally unacceptable to be told when we're in Reykjavik that there are limited aircraft that can move the freight from Frankfurt to Reykjavik. Like, seriously. 3 days later, the snow sailor arrived. We've just got the call that the snow sailor finally has been delivered to mountaineers. We had snowmobiles that pulled us to the top of the glacier, and we camped up there, and believe it or not, for the next 3 days it rained. This is not what we came here for, man. It's wet. The snow, the conditions on ground are horrible. The wind is great. I'm just devastated that this is a result the first time you go out, because normally, and as most of you have seen, when we get out there, we just go and do it. I'm shattered. You've been around expeditions, you've worked with
some of the world's greatest. And then when you see what's happened with us.
Every expedition has many hurdles, but for me it's not necessarily about the tool, the snow sailor, but it's about you, the person, and your vision, why you were doing it. You know, in memory of your father, it made sense to me to believe in you and your journey.
How long is it, this journey? I know for me how long it's been. How long for you?
I'm just not sure I want to think about the duration of it a lot. Whilst it might have been a little bit shorter in terms of the time if we looked at it on a calendar.
Yeah.
But I think probably the peaks and troughs that kind of come across with the intensity levels may have made my journey twice as long.
Right. Margot was here. She was on the phone to me like twice a day talking me through this and helping me through it. I just completely lost it. I like lay in my tent whimpering for a day because mentally I was shot. Emotionally I was shot, and physically my body started giving up. I started cramping. Would you have thought that this guy that you met and then who went to Russia like 2 or 3 weeks after we met to go race was going to end up with what we've ended up now?
There's been a kind of like, okay, this is an end of a section.
Yeah. Are you happy that I've gotten to where I am now?
Yeah, sort of. Bit sad too.
Yeah?
I don't know. I kind of like the testing part. I kind of like
Cool.
the going away on trips and the adventures that go with all that.
We've already lost half of our camp because things collapsed with the amount of water. We've got a snow sailor that we've lost a canopy on because it blew off. 35, 40 knots of wind, and the canopy was like a dog blown off a chain. That's what's left. Not only have we been, is it a plane, is it a bird? I've fallen in the water and can't get dry. We decided that we would go down to their base camp, which was the best move we made, believe it or not. We screamed down the mountainside, like 3 of us coming down in snowmobiles. We just parked, grabbed our gear, walked into, we had to dial a number. We had to SMS a number while we were up there so that the electricity would start, so it would start warming up the cabin. And we got into the cabin and we spent 2 nights of bliss in the cabin. What are your thoughts on crazy people like us? Well, we're not crazy, we're just dreamers more than anything.
Yeah, I don't think you're crazy. I think that you're making a dream come true, and that takes work, and it takes crazy, and it takes passion, and it takes all of those things that you need to be able to make a dream reality. We
were watching the weather, and it was telling us that the winds were going to be in a perfect direction at a perfect wind speed from 2 a.m. in the morning. We kind of went to sleep and we woke up at 2 a.m. and we drove ourselves up onto the glacier. But without a canopy and not being as aerodynamic as we could be, it wasn't what I wanted to do. So I came back from that, again, proud of what we'd achieved, proud that this thing works, but I wasn't satisfied.
The beauty is in the struggle.
Yeah.
When you look back on it, the things that actually make you smile about the success is the struggle of it.
Yeah.
And that's what most people don't realise. And that's why they don't go through the struggle, because they focus on the pain.
I came home and I got a phone call. Tourism Finland are looking for some people to do some stuff that's really different. That's all I needed. This time I knew what to expect. I was incredibly confident that I would do it, but I got to tell you, like day 1, no wind. Day 2, no wind. Day 3, a little bit of wind. But day 4, it's like, hang on a second. Is this happening all over again? If we could get the right people involved, then we don't have to hire vans, drive things around and have you standing in the cold for 8 hours.
In the snow until my feet were dropping off. Filming the snow sailor.
Yeah, but the wind only came up at 3 o'clock, so we had to have you standing there all this time ready with the camera.
I did survive only just, but my temper did run out slightly because I was frozen then from the top to the bottom.
Yeah. We chased wind all day because we knew it was happening. So I was riding and I was getting things going, and then we go, oh, we could go better, we could go better, we could go better. And the last ride of the day was the fastest that we'd ever gotten to. And I knew it when I did it because the whole thing felt different. The wind was coming across my left shoulder. It was just perfect. I could feel the wind increasing in the sail. I've sailed across the top lake, and then there's this decline of about 4 or 5 degrees to the next lake. I had no control in the sail, so I was traveling faster than the apparent wind, and then when I hit that next lake, I hit like a bump, and I remember going airborne. And I went, yes, this is the one. And when I eventually stopped, I had Vilja shouting in my ear about being a madman, and I synced my watch straight to my phone and given me the fact that I'd gotten to 61.4 kilometers an hour in 700 odd meters that I rode in, and I'd managed to hold the time for more than 4 seconds, and to me that was it. Maybe we could both learn how to paraglide.
Yes,
and then go skiing while paragliding.
Oh yeah, could do that. Could do that. We could just go skiing.
Or we could just go and lie on the beach for the next 6 years.
Yeah, we could.
It's pretty impressive that you've now done what you originally set out to achieve, you know.
Well, I've been fortunate because it's also been the people around me that have helped make that happen.
If you surround yourself with positive people that not necessarily guide you, but they're there when you get stuck, you can do anything. If you put your mind to it, and if you focus on the goal, you can achieve it.